Good Monday morning, traders. So it seems that over the weekend I did get assigned my Google. Remember, I have a Google short put that I'm doing the wheel strategy in. So I now own shares of Google. So if I come into OTA, if I'm an OTA user and I want to accept assignment, I come into the analysis, the trade analysis page. I come here that shows my short Google shares, and I select exercise assign, and it will go ahead and it will sign me those 1 shares of that open position at 135. So that is now my Google position. I am long 100 shares of Google. So now the question becomes, what do I do about that? Well, the next step in the process here is I start selling calls now against those Google shares until they get called away from me. So I don't need, this is not a calendar, so I don't need 2 separate strikes here. I'll usually go out about a month. So we'll go out to like the December 22nd or so. And we will see what I might be able to get here for around a 135 call. Seems like a reasonable number since I had sold the 135 put. Again, we're currently up in this position about $600, 5%. And that's fairly close here. Let's take a look. I'm going to pause and take a look at a chart on Google real quick. Okay, so this is a little interesting. I already had a mark on my Google chart for my other account where I hold Google shares to sell calls against my other shares there at around the 135 mark. That would essentially close this gap, and many times gaps will close. So that's what I'm going to look to do here is see about just selling that 135 call. So I will come back here and look at the 135 and sell 1, and it looks like I'll get around $286 or so for that. The markets aren't open yet, so I'll put that order out there shortly after the markets open, and I'll update everyone with my fill at that time. So while I'm waiting for the market to open here, let me show you a couple of quick variations on the wheel as well. One of them, if I'm not doing this in an IRA, if I'm doing this in an IRA, I can't do this. But one of them is I could sell twice as many calls here, essentially turning this into a form of butterfly to where I'm now going to get a lot more decay out of this. I'm also flattening my deltas considerably here, turning this more into a delta neutral trade. So that's a way to kind of juice this. Of course, I am picking up upside risk now if Google were to rip up considerably. At that point, my 100 shares would be getting called away from me if it was in the money, and I would be assigned 100 short shares. So that's one way of doing this. If I wanted to boost the income, that's a little above and beyond the normal wheel. Another variation on this that I call a dually wheel, like the big double wheels on the back of some trucks, and that is selling 2 calls, but also selling 1 more put, doing something like this. And here, of course, I'm kind of tripling up on the juice that I'm bringing in to where if Google expires between 130 and 135, the 35 days from now or 39 days from now, I've picked up, let's see, that's almost $600, about $800 in premium, lowering my cost basis in Google another $8 a share. So again, I have to, of course, be okay here accepting a second 100 shares of Google if Google were to tank and I were to get assigned. And of course, I picked up a little more upside risk in this process. So these are both a couple versions on a wheel strategy. If someone was wanting to build a larger, longer term position, and if they were okay with a little bit of upside risk. In this particular case, I'm just doing a basic level wheel. So again, when our market opens, I'm going to attempt to sell a 135 call. I will be in this position at that point. and then we'll just keep selling calls against this stock until Google eventually gets called away from me. And then we'll start the wheel over at that point. So I'll get this filled here shortly and report back. Okay, I was instantly filled on the open. I maybe could have asked for a little more. I was at 285. And this is now my new position. So I'm long 100 shares of Google, and I'm short a 135 call. And that puts me then in this position. I like to look at it in the grid, so we'll see it in the grid here in a sec. And there we are in the grid. So this position is up $629. Excuse me. Again, I've got 100 shares of stock. I can see that right here, 100 shares of long stock. And I am short a 135. I'm already up 10 cents in that trade. This is the amount of decay that can take place on this. So if this decays at under the 135 strike, I will add another, I sold that for $280, so I'll add another $280 into the P&L of this trade. So that is it for the Google Wheel. And again, that assignment took place over the weekend. I sold the short call here this morning on Monday. Take care.